Let's roll.
All right. Mike Sando's NFL quarterback tier rankings are hot off the press. We want to focus in on tier 1. Sitting at number 3 is Andrew Luck. Now, mixed reviews on this ranking. The supporters, listen to this, are comparing him to some of the greatest athletes of all time. One anonymous GM said, you want to talk about a guy who makes the team. He is Michael Jordan. Their defense sucks. Every game he has to outscore everybody. He's the epitome of a 1. If I was to draft tomorrow any player in the NFL, it would be Andrew Luck 1, Aaron Rodgers 2. Now, the voters who placed Luck in the second tier said he needs to protect the football better, has underwhelming postseason success, and is playing in a weak division. Stephen A., where do you rank Andrew Luck?
Well, listen, I'm not going to put him above Brady, obviously. I'm certainly not going to put him against that bad man, Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a step below that, but I think he's tugging away at number 3. I think age and attrition have kicked in with the great Peyton Manning. As great as I think Drew Brees is, I think that he's prone to mistakes just like Andrew Luck has been. The difference is he's been in the league considerably longer, so there's less of an excuse for it as opposed to Andrew Luck. In 3 seasons that Andrew Luck has been in this league, last year, he led the league with 40 touchdown passes. Now, he was responsible for 22 of their 31 takeaways, and that certainly is not impressive. But the Colts still averaged 28.6 points per game, if I remember correctly, which was like 6th in the entire NFL. When you consider the fact that he's responsible for 22 of their 31 takeaways, imagine what they could have done if those takeaways didn't take place. But it's primarily due to the 100 sacks he's received over the last 3 years because the Indianapolis Colts have been ill-equipped to protect him. So he's been basically on suicide watch behind that offensive line, dropping back to pass with little to no protection whatsoever, still winning division titles, still getting them to the playoffs, and every single year they've progressed. They went to the wild card the first year. They won a divisional playoff game the next year. They went to the AFC Championship game last year. And these are his first 3 years in the league. So I look at it, all of that I look at. I look at his body of work, but I also look at his physicality, those tree trunks for legs that he has, the durability that he's been able to exude, and I combine that particularly with the offense that he's going to have in place now. The addition of Frank Gore, the addition of Andre Johnson, joining a T.Y. Hilton, joining a Kobe Fleener, Dwayne Allen, and those boys. I like what I'm seeing. I think the sky's the limit for him. And you know from day one, Skip, I've always been more about Andrew Luck than I have been about RG3. And obviously, at this particular moment in time, I look absolutely prophetic. Clearly has something to do with RG3's health because his rookie year, he was big time, and we know that he got hurt. But in the end, you look at Andrew Luck. Don't talk to me about this brother not being big time. He's big time.
So was RG3 as a rookie, and we're going to get to that in just a moment here. But just for the record, RG3, the guy I liked going into that draft, outplayed Andrew Luck when they were both rookies. Now, back to your issue here. You and I have gone back and forth about this for about 3 years. I have never said Andrew Luck would be a bust. I've only said that I resent, that I am skeptical of the premature coronation of Andrew Luck. It seems like everybody has whisked him into a first ballot Hall of Fame status before he has proven it on the football field when it matters most in the postseason. And I appreciated the fact, I was shocked by the fact that 5 of the NFL people interviewed by Mike Sando for these rankings, not 2 or 3, 5 said, hold the phone, stop the presses. Andrew Luck is not a top-tier quarterback, not yet. They call him a 1. He's not a 1 just yet. 5 people interviewed by Sando said he's a 2. And a quick quote from one of them, it's almost like we're giving him the benefit of the doubt already. That's what I keep trying to tell you. I just need him to back it up. I don't doubt that he can, but let me finish. Let me finish. He is now 3-3, is Andrew Luck. 3-3 in the postseason. And the last playoff game we saw him play, obviously in Foxborough, most of the attention focused on the Deflategate team, the home team, the Patriots, who obviously went on to win the Super Bowl. It was a complete wipeout for Andrew Luck's team. And Andrew Luck wiped out in that game. He went 12 for 33 for 126 yards and 0 touchdowns for a QBR, Stephen A. Smith, on the scale of 1 to 100 of 29. Just a week earlier in the same stadium, Joe Flacco, who I sometimes call Joe Fluco on this show, went crazy on that same Patriot defense. Flacco, same field, playoff game, high stakes, week before. Flacco goes 28 of 45, 4 touchdowns and a QBR of 84. 84 to 29 for Andrew Luck. Now, is this the end of the world for Andrew Luck? No. But you got to show me a little more than this in the postseason, where his total QBR is only 65. It's a little better than average, but it's not great. I'm sorry, I haven't seen enough yet. And I'm going to let you talk for a second because I got a lot more ammo here.
No, well, it's not so much talking. I needed to ask you a question in all seriousness. I needed to know your definition of the number one, or exactly who qualifies as the number one. Who is it, Skip?
Right now, 2 do. Tom Brady first. He should be 1A, and 1B is your guy, Aaron Rodgers. Then we can argue about all kinds of 2s. There are a number. I think Peyton has fallen to a 2.
That's what I'm saying. See, that's where I needed you to go. So if you want to categorize it that way, then we're not going to disagree, because I agree with that. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and then there's everybody else. What I'm saying is, when you get to the everybody else, Andrew Luck is right there. So when you talk to me about him being a number 2, it depends on what your number 2 is.
Okay.
In this particular instance, I would agree. But let's be clear, Skip. Let's be clear. You keep bringing up what he did against the Patriots. Do you know that the Patriots averaged 47.3 points a game in the 4 wins against the Indianapolis Colts in the last 3 years?
Okay.
Indianapolis's defense was virtually non-existent. So if you know that you have a defense that's non-existent, and you know you got to go out there and make things happen as your sole hope of beating the Patriots, and you're relatively inexperienced, you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. Why? Because you can't afford to be safe. You've got to go for it every time, because you can't rely on your defense to come through for you. That's the reality, Skip. And I'm saying you know football too well to ignore that fact.
Okay.
That is what Andrew Luck has been working against.
Some GM referred to Andrew Luck as Michael Jordan.
Aggressive.
He went 12 for 33 in the AFC Championship game. Does Michael Jordan go 12 of 33 for 126 and no touchdowns? On the same field, Joe Flacco threw 4 touchdown passes against the same Patriot defense the week before. That's just bad. That's wrong. You can't call him Michael Jordan yet, because he's not.
I agree with that.
Okay. Now, look at his division. I think he is, so to speak, locked into the worst division in pro football. I don't think there's any argument. So he has gone 16-2 against his division. He's won his last 13 games in the division. Well, every year they're going to go 11-5, in part because the division is cake for them. It's a cakewalk. They're going to cakewalk into the playoffs because they're going to beat the heck out of these, out of Houston, Tennessee, and Jacksonville. It's set up for him to at least get to the playoffs. So when your biggest claim to fame was that Kansas City comeback game in which you threw 3 interceptions that threw your team into a 41-24 hole before the Chiefs got annihilated with injuries. They lost Jamal Charles, they lost Justin Houston, they lost Tom Ali, and all of a sudden they just didn't have enough star players left, and Andrew Luck led a remarkable fourth-quarter comeback, and they won the game 45-44. Is that all you got? But you threw 3 interceptions in that game.
Well, no, that's not all I got. That's not all I got. What I also have, Skip Bayless, is something that is completely different from you. You keep talking about that's his claim to fame. My claim to fame for Andrew Luck is his youth. It's the fact that he is as good as he is being so young. What you have people doing is looking at him and projecting a level of greatness, because so many things come along with playing the game of football. How is it that whether it's a Tebow or anybody else or a Johnny Manziel, you can project about the potential greatness that they could deliver in Tebow's case in terms of results, in Johnny Manziel's case in terms of his play or whatever. But with Andrew Luck, you can't see that. Look, this brother has the potential to be all-time great. Of course he's not there. Of course he shouldn't be, quote-unquote, coronated. But the coronation that I would argue with you about is they're not saying that he's arrived. They're saying, my God, look at this guy's potential. This dude, look at the Brett Favres of the world and others, Peyton Manning, these guys are on the verge of playing 20 years in the NFL.
Okay.
If Indianapolis improves this offensive line, Andrew Luck may very well have 17 years to go. And in the first 3, you haven't seen enough to look at this dude and say, yo, he's big time.
I think he's big time. Show me more. I don't see enough. I
agree with that.
I'm having to react to you.
I agree with that.
And the public opinion that has already placed him on the loftiest pedestal. And I'm saying I need to see more when the money's on the line in the postseason because this isn't good enough.
But what's the loftiest pedestal? What's the loftiest pedestal? You're going against RG3. You clearly eclipsed him. All right, you got Russell Wilson there. He's been to 2 consecutive Super Bowls, but the Legion of Boom has a lot to do with that, even though he makes plays when they count in crunch time, and he deserves credit for that, not just with his arm, but with his feet. You've got the Colin Kaepernicks of the world who've been to a Super Bowl. Yeah, but he's not the quarterback Andrew Luck is. I think everybody would agree with that. You look at a lot of these young guys, and you're like, look, Andrew Luck is definitely near or at the top of the class, and he's got loads of potential.
What's the name of the game? Don't turn the football over. You already mentioned it. Thank you very much. He turns the ball over way too much. It started in his rookie year, and I didn't harp on the fact he had the 2nd most combined turnovers as a rookie in the National Football League. Peyton had a miserable rookie year. He led the NFL in interceptions, so I'm good with that, but he still turns the ball over way too much. That's got to get cleaned up. And when it comes time, you're going to have to perform at a higher level to be Michael Jordan. I'm just reacting to people.
I totally agree with that.
Hey, he is a cinch Hall of Famer in most people's eyes already. And I'm just a little skeptical.
He's a cinch Hall of Famer. He's a cinch Hall of Famer because of what we believe he is going to do. There is nothing Hall of Fame about his numbers yet. It's good, but it's not great. But we believe what he's going to do because we see what he's working with, we see what he's working against, combined with his youth. Look at what he's done. There isn't a franchise in the NFL that if you ask them, could they take a young quarterback, would not want Andrew Luck.
Okay, fine.
Not one of them.
I get it. I just need to see more because all I know for a fact, last year, Tony Romo had a better year than Andrew Luck. And you've laughed at Tony Romo for years on this show. That's a fact.
Why?
He was just bad. Why? Because you always say he's an accident waiting to happen, and he wasn't last year.
Are you ready for this, Skip? Are you ready for this, Skip? In Andrew Luck's 3 years, he already has more playoff victories than Tony Romo in his entire career.
Okay. But
is that not a fact?
But Tony Romo doesn't get to play Jacksonville and Tennessee and Houston every year.
No, I said playoffs. I said playoffs. I said playoffs. I ain't talking regular season. I said playoffs. He already has more playoff victories than Tony Romo in Tony Romo's career. Why shouldn't I laugh at Tony Romo? Tony Romo, lucky I'm not giggling every day.
You couldn't laugh at him last playoff year.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
What about the other 8? What about the other 8 years?
They don't count.
Thank you.
All right, we talk about
they count to me.
Yeah.
A weak division being in his favor. I also want to point out that they have the easiest strength of schedule. Only the Falcons have an easier strength of schedule this year
That's a
than
good
the Colts.
point.
So that
I should have brought that up, Stephen A.
You know what, Molly?
Thank you.
If you were here,
you're just trying to help Skip.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Skip need help. Skip need Molly to come to the rescue.
Yeah.
You coming to your aid?
He plucked me right out of NFL Network. Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Come on now.
If you were here.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.